Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. So in case you guys don't know, every couple weeks I ask you guys on my Instagram channel what kind of things you would like to see on YouTube. And this week I asked you guys if you would rather see a Q&A or how to build your own training program, kind of like a training program DIY. And that's what you guys voted for. So that's what we're gonna tackle today. So my goal today is to share with you, meaning petite women mainly, how you can build your own training program to do in the gym. And while this will probably be pretty helpful for everyone, I'm going to try to mostly tailor it to petites. So I have my computer here, all of my notes like written out and ready to chat about all the things you need to consider. So let's get into it. So I'm sharing this information with you guys because I really want to empower you, and I feel like sometimes trainers can really kind of withhold this type of information because they're trying to keep their clients. They want to establish that relationship where the client needs them, and honestly there will always be a benefit to having a trainer. I mean, it's very, very useful to have someone watching your form and just this endless bank of knowledge that they have, and they're tailoring it to your needs. But we can't all afford a trainer, and I totally get that. So I'm creating this for you guys just to have this information to really empower you in the gym and just like help you guys get healthy. That's my goal, is to help you guys. And I think that in general, there's not a lot of information out there about what petites really need in the gym. So that's my goal in helping you achieve your goals. The most important thing, the starting place for a training plan, is understanding what your goal is. Have you thought about what you want to look like, what you want to feel like? What is really your goal for going to the gym? Why do you want to go to the gym? What is your motivation? In order to get somewhere, you really have to have the vision of what you want to achieve, or else how do you even know what you're doing in the gym? When you're starting, you should just know where you want to end up. And that's because the way that you train is going to dictate where you end up in terms of what you look like, what you're able to do. Maybe you don't know what your goal is, maybe you do, but just to kind of ground us, let's talk about some of the biggest goals people have. So there's bodybuilding, which you will see probably all over Instagram and everywhere. This is kind of like your classic hypertrophy, meaning putting on muscle mass and size. So this is more of a cosmetic activity rather than a functional one. You wouldn't really expect to see a bodybuilder ever running a marathon or having any super high ability in cardiovascular activity, although maybe some of them do run depending on where they are in their training in order to cut excess fat and lean out. But mostly this is going to be cosmetic based. Another type of goal is weightlifting. This is also known as Olympic style weightlifting, and this is literally an Olympic sport, and it really refers to three main moves, which is the snatch, the clean, and the jerk. There's also powerlifting, which ironically is more strength-based than power. These include moves like the bench press, the deadlift, the squat. It's mostly how much weight you can pick up. So their goal is to just lift as much as possible. So another goal you might have might be just functional fitness. Maybe you want to just kind of look a little bit better overall. Maybe lose a little bit of fat everywhere, tone up, which is not really a real thing, but tone up. You want to lose some fat, gain some muscle, gain strength, but you also want to be functionally fit for life. Like you want to be able to climb the stairs and not be winded. Then a last goal that I have, and I put this up because this is my goal, is training for sports. And there are a lot of different considerations that go into programming for athletes versus just regular functional fitness. So sport-specific conditioning involves taking movements from my sport and then sort of replicating them in the gym in different ways. It's really about building on movements rather than like building muscle and all over, although, building a foundation for strength and power is usually kind of at the crux of most sports training programs. But rather than isolating certain muscle groups with like as in bodybuilding and trying to get mass where it is cosmetically attractive, you're not really caring about, I want definition in this part of my muscle. You're really just thinking like, what is going to make me a better athlete? So, and that's going to depend on every sport you're in. So I'm a fencer, so I'm looking at specific muscle groups. I'm looking at my chest, I'm looking at my triceps, biceps, we're looking at wrist grip strength, finger strength. This is very specific to fencing. Fencing is lunging, so we're looking at explosive lunging movement. Training for sports and having that goal is also pretty complicated because the program has to be designed in a long-term way such that the intensities and the loading patterns are leading up to optimal performance depending on your competition schedule. If there's any fencers here who want to know more about that, you can definitely contact me. I do train some fencers, so that's something that I would love to talk with you more in depth about. Okay, so those are some goals. I'm going to go ahead and guess, just based on the conversations with you guys, that we're looking for functional fitness. Yeah, just feeling better overall, just kind of, even if you've never been an athlete, just having like a little bit more of an athleticism in your life. Overall, a great goal to have is a functional fitness goal in my mind, and there is cosmetic benefits obviously to being functionally fit. So factors that will affect your training program is your age, your actual biological age, but also your training age. So are you a beginner in lifting weights? Your physical capability, coordination, any past injuries you've had, limitations, your lifestyle. So what you're doing outside of the gym, because that's the majority of your life, and the choices you make about your health overall are going to impact how your training program is going. Your genetics will play a role, your gender will play a role, and your height, guys. I know, craziness. No one ever says this, but it's actually true. So we'll get into that in a little bit when we talk about what's specific to petites. And I should mention also, all of the goals that I mentioned, these are mostly resistance training goals. If you have a goal to run a marathon or do some kind of event, or there are loads and loads of goals. It's infinite goals. I just named some of the ones that are known to be created in the gym. Forms of resistance training, strength training. How does training work? Like, how do you actually get fit scientifically? It's called the specific adaptation of imposed demands. And what this basically means, your body is going to adapt to the specific demands that you put on it. So this is really important because it means if you repeatedly lift heavy weights, then you'll actually be able to produce higher levels of maximum strength, okay? And if you repeatedly lift lighter weights, then you're at higher reps, that is, then you're going to develop higher levels of muscular endurance, meaning you'll be able to contract your muscles over and over again for a longer period of time. So basically how you're gonna be training is going to give you your desired effect, which is really important. So if you want to be able to lift heavy, you got to lift heavy. If you want to be able to lift for a long period of time and have that endurance, then you lift light with higher reps. So this is just another reason why you need to know your goals. You need to train for a desired outcome. This is another really important reason why picking like random workouts off of YouTube is not going to get you your result, your long-term result. Of course, there are benefits to doing random workouts off the internet. You get a calorie burn, maybe it boosts your motivation, and it's just a fun thing to do. But if you're really looking for results, you need to have a long-term plan, and it's going to take consistency over time. So let's chat about us petites, our specific needs, and what you might not know about being short and how it affects a training program. Some of you probably don't know that height is correlated with metabolism. So let's talk about how. So your BMR is your basal metabolic rate. This is how many calories you burn in a day at rest. So if you're just Netflix and chilling, I like to say one of the equations for calculating this is called the Harris-Benedict equation, and I'll put it up here. It's basically your age, your weight, and your height. So you can see that your height is actually correlated with how many calories your body's going to burn in a day, which means a taller person is going to burn more calories in a day than a shorter person. It makes sense if you really think about it. So what does this mean for us? It means that if we eat over this number of calories, of course, that's after you put into the equation how much activity you're doing, because that will change how many calories you're burning in a day. But if you eat over the number of calories that you're burning, we're gonna gain weight. So we have really a very few number of calories that petites can play with in a day, because we already have kind of slower metabolisms because we're petite. So if you're sedentary, or you don't work out often, or you work out once a week and you sit from 8 to 5 every day for your job, your metabolism will be even slower. And at that point, you may only be able to eat 1,200 calories in a day before tipping into a surplus and then gaining weight. And in case you don't know, 1,200 calories is like, it could be like one really big meal or 2 meals a day. So we're really in this predicament as petites where if we're not really doing everything we can to rev up our metabolism, then we are going to dip into a surplus and end up gaining weight over time really slowly. And it just kind of sucks for us. It's kind of like one of those things that's just, we're smaller, so we have less calories in a day that we can play with. The good thing is there's 2 ways that we can combat this and get our metabolisms kind of up and running faster. One is fitness and the other one is nutrition. So this video deals with the fitness side of how us petites, we can just rev up our metabolisms. Okay, so we have a slower metabolism. That's one thing that's unique to petites. The other thing is equipment modalities. Machines are one size fits all, and because we're below average height, although we're half of American women, so I would say we're a majority, but nevertheless. Okay, so machines actually dictate the range of motion of the movement, which obviously we're shorter, so the range of motion for us is going to be different than the intended range of motion for the average person on a, let's say, a leg press machine. For a tall person, they'll get a full range of motion extending their legs, whereas we might just get a little portion of that because we're shorter. Machines also really isolate muscles. They really only train one of the muscles or a couple of the muscles that it's trying to train. It's good for bodybuilders for that reason, because they can really isolate muscle groups and work on isolating specific muscles and fatiguing those muscles and growing them in size. Whereas petites really need to work on total body exercises, compound movements, and lifts. Okay, so I actually just wrote this down because I literally just couldn't say it better. Machines are designed to fit an average person. However, no one is really average. Machines that are not specifically designed to fit your body can generate dangerous shearing forces at your working joints. So this is us as petites. Machines, just think about this. Working on machines makes you better at working on machines. So it's not necessarily training you for life. It's not training you, when are you ever going to be in a seated position doing those things? I mean, it's very limited. So let's talk about a modality that is good for petites. That's free weights. Free weights are amazing for petite women and everyone in general, but for petites specifically. So free weights, resistance bands, barbells, the cable machines, these are much better choice for petites because we dictate the range of motion. And what's also great about free weights and barbells is instead of being put in this seated position, we are actually engaging our core. Instead of the plane of motion being limited to one axis as it is with most machines, with dumbbells, we're going to have to use the stabilizing muscles, use our stabilizers for our muscles in every angle of motion. So if you're doing an overhead press, when you're at the top and you're pressing out, you're stabilizing 360 degrees of motion versus a machine which is on a vertical track and it's doing the stabilizing for you. So that's really important because you're going to get a much more bang for your buck if you're working with dumbbells and barbells over machines, just for that reason, if your goal is functional fitness and overall sort of athleticism. If your goal is bodybuilding, machines will be play more of a role in your training because you will need to get in there and like isolate certain muscle groups. But for petites, dumbbells are your best friends. Another really important factor is the focus should be on total body exercises or total body workouts rather than training splits, because we really need to rev up our metabolisms, and we're going to be able to do that with more compound lifts and multi-joint exercises. You don't need to do those bro body splits. That's bodybuilding as well. You just need to hit major muscle groups at least twice a week to really see some change and to be really efficient. So the total body workouts are going to help us burn more calories, get our metabolisms up, our heart rate up, and it's going to help us work all of the muscle groups that we need to in a more efficient way than isolating certain muscles. Also, when you work on multi-joint exercises, you're using your core and working on functional fitness because you're really working on movements, which is what applies to real life, instead of working on machines, which will make you better at working on machines rather than climbing upstairs or doing things in your normal life. Another thing to keep in mind if you're petite about cardio. So if petites do long bouts of cardio, long runs, I'm not saying this is a definitive for everyone, petites shouldn't do long distance runs, but if you're trying to get in shape and you decide that you're going to start running a lot, there can be some negative consequences to this. You can really stress out your body. You can release stress hormones, cortisol, that can contribute to your weight gain. And also, it's going to make you really hungry. Like, I'm telling you right now, if you start running a lot and you think cardio is the way to tone up, you are not going to get toned up by running a lot. You need to strength train to get there. Increase your muscle mass, because muscle burns more calories at rest than fat. So we also need that muscle to help speed up our metabolisms more than anybody else, more than tall people. We have less lean tissue in our bodies than tall people. So we have to get that lean tissue. We really have to go after it so that we can be burning calories even when we're not doing anything. So you can get most of the cardio that you need from, the metabolic finishers and the circuit training and lowering your rest periods between strength training. You don't need to be running for 40 minutes a week, I promise. Okay, moving on to the next phase of this video, the planning. So actually, how do you plan your whole training? So your body is going to respond optimally to a training program only if you subject it to progressive overload. This means that you will need to subject yourself to a greater demand in the gym than you do in your normal day, everyday life. So let's build this program. So we're just going to keep it simple, because the best program is one that you can actually do. And it really needs to be easy to follow and easy to stick to, especially if you're just getting started, or even actually as an intermediate lifter. So something I really want you guys to know is you really don't need to spend hours per week in the gym. You really don't, to be efficient and to really change your body. You don't need to spend crazy amounts of time in the gym. You can really just do a few exercises that are really efficient a few times a week and get amazing results. So that's what this plan is going to focus on. And efficiency and intensity is really everything, not how much time you spend in the gym. Step 1 is you're going to select a small number of highly effective exercises to include in your program. You'll want to choose large multi-joint compound lifts such as squats, deadlifts, bench press, overhead press, chin-ups or pull-ups, bent over rows. These big multi-joint movements should be the focus or the core of your workout for that day. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that you're going to build your workouts around this 1 or 2 or 3 big lifts that you've chosen are your main lift for the day. So then you'll supplement the rest of the workout with accessory exercises, kind of padding around that one lift or 2 lifts. So let's talk about what this could look like. Okay, so say I want to work out 3 times a week. So basically, I might choose to have one day be a squat day, one day be a deadlift day, and one day be a chest press day. So on squat day, I'm going to, of course, do my dynamic warm-up, make sure I'm priming my muscles and getting warmed up dynamically, so not running on the treadmill, but doing some walking stretches, doing the movements, priming your body for the movements that you're going to load weight on later. So body weight squats without weight, using resistance bands, warm up your glutes, do some, some high knees and some butt kicks and some inchworms. So you're going to dynamically warm up. And then you're going to go ahead and I like to put in a nice superset in the beginning. A superset meaning it's 2 exercises that you do back to back. So I'll usually do something like kettlebell swings and maybe ball slams or squat jumps. So something to get your heart rate up and going, something that's going to use a lot of muscles and just get you really warmed up and primed for your big lift. Okay, so then I'll move into the main lift of the day, which is my squat. So I'm going to go do either a goblet squat with a dumbbell, or I'm going to go do a barbell squat on a back squat. And I'll superset that with a complementary exercise, maybe some pull-ups or chin-ups. And then the rest of the workout, you're going to choose exercises that are sort of accessory work. So they're not going to be as much muscle recruitment as a squat, because a squat is using a lot of different muscles. It's engaging your core, your quads, your glutes, your adductors, your hip flexors, your lats, and your back. And it's really using a lot of muscles, so that is why it's the main lift of the day. So maybe I'll include for the rest of the day, some single leg deadlifts, accessory work, some lateral raises, and then I'll finish with a couple core exercises and then maybe a metabolic circuit. Let's break that whole day down, because that's kind of going to be like the formula I'm giving you. And by the way, there is no one formula or no one magic program for results. There are a million ways to health, and trainers will use their own methods. And this is just one way that you can program or structure your weekly workouts. And it's a way that I like to do my workouts personally, because I found that I get the best results doing them this way. So let's break it down. We have the term I'm using called supersets, which I explained what that was. So I like to do all my workouts in pairs of supersets, so 2 or trisets, 3 exercises, and I'll just do the exercises back to back. Let's talk about exercise pairing. So there's also a lot of theory about how do you pair these exercises in a superset. It's not just random. Any trainer who has been training clients will tell you there's a method behind how you pair exercises, again, depending on your goal. Well, let's talk about a couple different ways of doing it. So you can choose exercises that use different muscles. So you could choose one upper body exercise and one lower body exercise and put those together so that your upper body is resting while your lower body is working, and vice versa. You could also get a lot more complicated and get into pairing push and pull exercises. For the sake of simplicity, I would say go ahead and take 2 exercises that use different parts of your body. Step 2. This is where we're going to talk about how you choose a number of reps, number of sets, your rest periods. So let's get started. So generally a good number of sets to start off with would be 3 sets for every supersetted exercise. For reps, I think you should go ahead and try performing between 8 and 12 reps for accessory work. And then keep your compound lifts to around 5 reps, because you'll be working on strength for those. So just so you guys know, hypertrophy, which is more muscle mass and bodybuilding, that rep range is between 8 and 12, but you can also, of course, work on strength within hypertrophy as well. And then really more strength training where you're lifting very heavy weights, that's going to be around 5 reps, 3 to 5, with longer rest periods in between. So how do you choose a weight that is right for you? So you want to choose a weight that is hard to do, hard to lift for the last 1 or 2 reps in that set. So say I'm doing bicep curls. I'm going to pick a weight that is difficult to finish the last 2 reps of that set. So say I'm doing 10 reps. So when I get to 8, it needs to be like very hard without sacrificing form. Okay, so you need to focus on having immaculate technique. And if you don't know how, I would suggest going on YouTube, checking out videos, just educating yourself. And in general, form is really important also for getting the right results, because you don't want to strain anything. For that reason, start at a weight you're comfortable with, and over time, ramp it up. You'll get to a point where you're comfortable lifting heavier weights after you've lifted for a little while. But do challenge yourself. It's about lifting what's heavy for you, not lifting what's heavy for someone else or me or whatever it is. It's what's heavy for you. It's what you wouldn't normally lift outside of the gym. This is a place to lift heavy. So whatever's heavy for you, whatever is out of your comfort zone, but still within the realm of possible and with proper technique, try to aim for that. For rest sets, so if you're working on strength, you'll want to have 3 to 5 minutes in between your sets. This is to give your body the right amount of time it needs to be able to lift the heavy weight again. If you'd rather get in some cardiorespiratory into your workout, then I would leave your rest to about 90 seconds or less. This is what I do. This is a very effective way to get a cardio element and bring up the intensity in your workout without necessarily raising the load. So, and in this case, sometimes if you're shortening your rest periods, you may have to drop the weight a little bit. And whatever you do, don't choose a weight that you can't finish the number of reps or sets. You want to always be able to finish the sets no matter what. So now we're going to talk about progressive overload. So this is how you're going to really get results. You're going to need to up your weights every 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, always try to be increasing your weights. Let's keep it simple. After you've done a program, after you've designed your program, you've got your 3-day program, you've got your squat, your deadlift, and your chest press day, and all the accessory exercises around that. Then you're going to just make sure that you're writing down the weights that you're writing down all the weights that you're lifting for each exercise, and then every 4 weeks you're going to progress it. You're going to progress it by 3 to 5 pounds. Some exercise you may be able to go higher on the compound lifts. You could go up 10. But the goal is to always progress your weights, because this is what is going to challenge your body and keep you moving towards your goal, because your body is going to adapt with you. As you lift more, you'll get stronger, and you'll need to lift even heavier to continue to work on gaining strength and muscle. So I'm just going to list off some additional accessory exercises that I think are really great that you could just add into your programs. Okay, here are some of my favorites. Kettlebell swings, ball slams, single leg deadlifts, lateral raises. You could work on lat pull downs or assisted pull-ups, squat jumps, goblet squat, Bulgarian squat, barbell rows, plank rollouts, medicine ball chops and lifts, hip thrusts, rear delt flies, single arm, staggered rows, pal-offs, stability ball passes, walking lunges, upright rows, lateral lunges, and farmer's carries. So I hope this really helped you guys just kind of get a kind of an introduction to how trainers think about programming for their clients, and just how you can program your own and just kind of keep it really simple. If you're sticking to these multi-joint exercises and you're doing them in the rep range, as I said, and taking the right rest periods, and you're just in the gym 3 times per week, you're going to see results for sure. I promise you guys. If you use the principles of progressive overload and recovery, you're going to be good to go. Awesome. And if you guys liked my thought process with this, and you want to learn more about fitness programming for petites, I'm releasing my Kickstarter later this month for my training program, which is called the Petite Strength Program. Basically, it's a program that I've already tested with a group of petite women, and they've just excelled throughout the program. I used all the principles that I just shared with you. I just created 12 weeks worth of programming, and it includes strength training, circuit training, metabolic finishers. It has all of the right rest intervals and everything kind of just written out already for you. So if you'd rather just not do this yourself and you'd rather just have a plan, please support that. If that's something you're into, you can sign up for Kickstarter updates at my website. So when it goes live, you'll know, and you can go check out the videos and see what it looks like. The plan also it will have over 125 HD videos to teach you guys proper form. And it's just something I'm really excited about, because I worked on it really hard for a really long time, and it's going to finally be out there. And also the petite women I worked with in the Short Girl Gang love the program. Stay tuned for that if that's something that interests you. And I also train just like the Petite Strength Program, which I mentioned. I train exactly like the Petite Strength Program does. That's pretty much my workout routine, with the exception of all of the fencing stuff that I have to add in. But in terms of like staying fit and functionally fit and being overall athletic, that plan is really designed for petites in that way, to be functionally fit, to shed some fat, to gain some muscle, and just overall be able to eat more and enjoy life and just love your lifestyle. So yeah, I think that just about wraps up this video. I really hope you guys liked it. And stay tuned for my next video. I always ask my Instagram followers what they want to see on YouTube. So if you want to have a say in what I create on here, just follow me on Instagram and look out for when I take the polls. So remember, there is no single way to health. All that really matters is that you get in the gym, you have a plan, and you just get started working on something. And I promise you'll get somewhere. All right, guys, thank you so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, follow me on Instagram if you want to see more. And yeah, see you guys soon. Bye.